All right, Battletech enthusiasts, continuing our mech review here, looking at some of the mechs and machines that I enjoy playing, offering my experience on the tabletop in playing these mechs, and collecting that feedback back from you in the comments to see what do I need to adjust, what's working, or what other machines should I possibly be considering to add to my collection. Because in Battletech, no matter how many toys you have, you can never have too many toys. So the Valkyrie, what role does it play? How does it work? And how do we get the most out of this interesting mech? So here we have a light mech with okay speed. And by that I mean it has okay speed for a medium mech, but it seems deficient for speed compared to some of the other lighter mechs out there. And certainly with light mechs, what's interesting is because you're not going to have a lot of armor. Even if you armor up, even if you're playing something like the Panther, it's got good armor, but it's still really, really light. So I find right away you find the most diverse mechs as light mechs. Some are fast, Locust. Some are slow, Urban Mech. Some carry big boom boom. The Urban Mech autocannon is pretty decent on there. The Panther PPC 10 points is pretty decent. Others have just little pea shooters, like the Locust stock. I prefer playing the Locust variant with the medium laser and 2 SRM 2-packs. That changes the game. That variant changes the dynamic in there. Some have jump capability, some don't. Everything in between. Once you start moving into medium mechs, you've got some fast medium mechs, but the weight restrictions and the armor, because you certainly want to be putting on the armor for the tonnage, it tends to narrow things, and they get even narrower as you move into heavy mechs, and even a lot more narrow as you move into the assault mechs. And occasionally you have something weird in the assault class like the super fast recon charger type mech in there. But for the most part, the Battlemaster is going to function the same way as an Awesome, the same way as an Atlas. Different tactics, different perspectives, different ways of using that massive hammer to just smash your opponent. But the weight class is kind of pushed in that direction. So the Valkyrie, it's not fast. And in the light mech, I'm looking at it and saying, this thing should be faster. Then you look at its weapons. Now it has the jump capability. Then you look at its weapons. So the jump capability makes up for it tremendously, not only in city fight, but you're not being slowed down, in theory, by forests as much or jumping over obstacles or hills. It does open up the possibility for death from above if you want to get crazy on there. So that kind of makes it up for its lack of mobility. Weapons. Medium laser. I think that's about as heavy as you're going to find on a light mech. But then you have something like the LRM 10-pack, which is very, very interesting. And certainly it's no secret if you've been following my Battletech channel or checking out my blog, my Battletech articles, the link under this podcast vlog will take you to my blog, and you can kind of see through the archives there. One could say that I have a certain appreciation or a fetish for long-range missiles. I routinely play 2 longbows, 2 archers, 2 LRM missile carriers. I'm putting out, real-time 220, 240, 260 missiles in direct fire, just saturating the area. I understand the potency of long-range missiles very, very well. Given that, my choice normally is to look at a 20-pack or a 15-pack minimum. I really, in most roles, discount the 10 and the 5. But hold that thought for the 5 for a second. With the 20 and 15, if I roll average, I'm going to hit you with enough cluster hits that it's going to slow you down. It's going to give you some pause, especially if I can replicate that on one of your mechs from, multiple mechs. I'm firing off both pods on each longbow. I'm firing off both torsos on the archers. Those 20 packs hitting, if I roll average, it's going to be quite a show. If I roll less than average, it's okay damage. I'd like more, but it's passable for the turn. If I roll legendary, 2d6, if I'm pulling off 10s, 11s, 12s, that's going to be crippling. That's going to be crazy, especially if I start punching through to internals and we're doing the kind of the shotgun spread on there. I'm going to be crit farming. I'm going to be getting lots of crits. It's going to be really good. So the smaller the pack, on a 10-pack or a 5-pack, if I roll average, I mean, if you roll average on a 5-pack, it's like, okay, whatever. Now, to counter that, I also play the Thorn. The Thorn's a fast-moving mech. It has an LRM 5-pack. I consider that a skirmish-type mech. It likes to run up the side of the table, fire off a 5-pack, run away. Run up somewhere, fire off a 5-pack, run away. It's not trying to cause any damage. Look, I might get lucky. It's Battletech, right? Center torso hit. 1-1, snake eyes. Roll for crit, confirm 3 crits. Damage, gyro. Happened last game, So that can happen in Battletech, but for the most part, you're not really afraid of an LRM 5-pack. But it's an annoyance. So I don't take something like the Thorn, light mech with a 5-pack, to cause, that alpha damage. I take it to run up, run and gun, jump around, maybe probe into your deployment zone, run back out, try to get some side shots on vehicles, maybe try to take out your warrior or any type of VTOLs or a Karnov or something, just to throw some dice on the table. It's not the damage, it's to see how you react, what you do as a player, and what opportunities can I capitalize on. From that perspective, it's worth the battle value buy-in. But now when we get to the 10-pack, Valkyrie, if it had a 5-pack and a medium laser, well, it's almost a Thorn anyway, then I would use it differently. As soon as I see that 10-pack, I start to say, well, it doesn't have the spread damage potential of a 10 to 15. So I'm not going to use it as kind of a cheap escort for some of my other mechs that might not have long-range capability. But I certainly don't want to use it for a skirmisher, because that's going to it has a lot more potential than that. Plus, it's a little bit slow. Skirmisher, you got to be fast. So how have I been utilizing it? That's kind of the go-in with it. I use it as a second tier, a second level, cheap attack mech, for the battle value. It's a little pricey. It's not Jenner pricey for a light mech. Jenner pricey is almost like medium mechs on there, but the Jenner packs so much speed and firepower, it's crazy with that. But it's just enough battle value that in the right situation, I feel like I can put out damage equivalent damage to a lower end medium mech for a lot less the price. Challenge, of course, is being a light mech. I can't have anything shooting back. So how I utilize this in my lance is I push forward with the main elements of my lance. The heavy mechs, the support mechs going in, the Jaeger mechs, the riflemen, laying down some cover downfield. Fritz is coming. We're moving ahead. We've got maybe a contact point on the table or a mission point I have to be on the table. You know where I'm going. You know where my battle master's going, and we're going to kind of hold things down. I might have some elements like the Thorn skirmishing, or I might have some locusts running skirmish, or possibly acting as a spotter for indirect fire. But at some point with Battletech, that's now where the Valkyrie's kind of hanging back a little bit while this is going on. It's a little bit behind the heavy mechs. Once we've joined battle in Battletech, wherever that is on the table, preferably in the center of the table, so at least it gives me a little bit of maneuverability. Once we join there and battle is locked, it's challenging to withdraw. Think about this. When we get to danger close, when we're now employing short-range modifiers, a lot of stuff is hitting. I need to keep my weapons facing you. Because we're so close and we're firing everything, if I try to run, you're going to catch up to me. I also need to make sure that I'm shooting at you. So if I start taking internal damage, if I start taking limb damage, what can I really do? Effectively, all I can do is backpedal walking, so this way I can at least, because you can't run backwards, at least I can shoot at you, keep my guns shooting. So once you commit, I find in Battletech, you really don't break away that often. I mean, it happens once in a while. At this point, once battle's joined, that's where I take the Valkyrie and now start working the sides, working the flanks, because that 10-pack has the range, certainly, but if I can get to short range on a 10-pack, and the speed of the Valkyrie, while it's not fast as a light mech, It's certainly fast for a medium mech, so you can get there. If it was a medium mech, you can get there quick enough. If I can get a good location, side location, cut cross section of the table, shooting in on your side, what now this means is if you have vehicles in support, I'm going to be getting an increased chance of motive hits. If your mechs start taking damage, what I see happening, or what I try to do, is where you'll blade your mech. So if I'm facing you head on, and I take a lot of damage on my left side, I will pull that left side back through positioning, or possibly with the mech maneuvering. So at least in theory, my left side isn't facing you, my left torso if I'm two internals. Yes, it cuts down on weapon fire depending on the location of my weapons, but it helps the mech to live longer. If I have that Valkyrie on the side and you blade your mech, I can still potentially exploit it. And if you've joined battle, I don't want to say no, because you never really know what happens, but I find that opponents, once battle's joined, we're that danger close, even though they want to shoot at the Valkyrie, they don't want to turn or have one or two of their mechs that are in that mix go exclusively at the Valkyrie, because that's going to leave them vulnerable to my Battlemaster, my Warhammer, my Marauder, my big gun, so to speak, pushing forward on there. And that allows the armor deficiencies as a light mech of the Valkyrie not to be as important. And in theory, if I push my luck a little bit, that means I don't have to stay at long range. I can close to medium range. Short range, well, we're getting kind of close, but medium range for sure. So medium range is what, plus 2 on there. I'm not going to be moving, so I don't have my movement modifiers. You're going to have your movement modifiers for whatever they're going to be. I'm going to have less dice to overcome. For the modifiers, the 10-pack is kind of beast in there. The 10-pack really starts putting down the shots, even though it's only one 10-pack. And while it doesn't have the potency of the 15 or 20, if I roll Legendary on a side armor for some of those annoying tanks that people bring, myself included, or I roll side or rear armor against some of your mechs, it's got some bite, for battle value that's not that expensive for the mobility of a mech. So that's where I see the use of the Valkyrie. Different than, say, the Griffin, which is a pure sniping machine on there. Certainly different than running some of the other light mechs that are extremely fast or extremely slow with, a PPC or other weapons that could potentially deal 10 damage. That LRM 10-pack puts it in a very, very unique place.